Hey, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about sex education and all the things you need to know in order to know everything about sex and to be a really good lover. Stay tuned for it. All right, well, I'm going to talk about something that's very important. I'm going to do it in the presentation format. I'm going to go into the computer and do it because it's a lot easier. It's clear. You're going to understand it much better than if I talk on the camera. So I'm going to do it on the presentation format. I'm going to go in the computer in a second. I just want to tell you that sex education is the most important thing we need to have in order to be a good lover. And many people think they know everything. Many people think they have seen movies, porn movies, adult movies, where they see things, but that's not the right way to learn about sex. I don't think education in the schools and everywhere is good. It doesn't do a good job to teach us what we need to know about sex. And that's a very bad thing, because then we come to our first sex encounters, and of course we need practice in order to be a good lover, but we don't know what the other person wants, and men and women are so different in terms of sexuality. We are so different in terms of how we get aroused, in terms of many other things. So I don't want to get too long here. I'm going to go in the computer and talk about it in a second, and I will just see you in a little bit. All right, let's start with this presentation about sex education and your guide to understand sexuality. In this video, I want to share with you what I believe are the pillars of good sexual education and on how to apply it to your life. First thing I'm going to talk about, and this is very important, and the key in this is that your mind is the strongest sexual organ. And this is very important. If you understand that, then your sex life is going to be much better. So mind and sex. Understand that your mind is your strongest sexual organ and you need to control it. What I mean by controlling it, I mean that you need to understand that if you control your mind, you will control your sexual life and your sexual desires and your sexual satisfaction. Because we always think that, sex is just, my penis, her vagina, and so on, and just have the orgasm. And it's not like that, because sometimes, and you've experienced this, I'm sure, is that if your mind is not present, if you're not there at the same moment when you're doing it, especially women when they have chatter in their mind, it's very difficult for them to have an orgasm. Very difficult for men as well, but men may be a bit easier. But it's so important that we understand that our mind has to be there, and that our mind controls our sexual desires and satisfactions. The mind is the key to long-lasting sexual relationships as well. This is something that I'm going to talk at the end a little bit more into depth, but it's very important. If we want to have long sexual relationships, our mind has to be very present and has to really work well. If not, it's very difficult. With your mind, you control your sexual desires, and it's the engine of your imagination and of your fantasies. And this is why it's so important. Not only because you can control, being present, but also because it controls your desires. It controls your fantasies, your imagination. And this is what makes your sex life better and makes your sex life be long-lasting. Because if not, we're going to stay in that 3, 4, 5, 6 months of great sex with the person that we just met. Yeah, fantastic. It's, we're in that honeymoon state that everything is fantastic and we want to have sex all the time. But when that ends, we need to maintain it alive. And this is when the mind kicks in, and when the mind is so important. It's your engine. And of course, women appreciate sexually educated men. And that's your mind. Not only, you need to know about orgasms, you need to know how to treat her, you need to know how to satisfy her, and you need to connect with her and connect her mind, body, and soul. So this is very important. Understand and love foreplay. And I mean love there, I just put plus love, is because you need to love foreplay. If you want to be a good lover and you want to have a good relationship, a sexual relationship. Good foreplay opens the door to female orgasms, and you need to know that. You need to understand that. It's the door opener for girls having orgasms. Women get aroused completely different to men, and you need to accept it, understand it, and love it. It's very simple. You need to accept it, understand it, and love it. If you don't like foreplay, if you don't like that previous games, you will not have a good long-lasting relationship. This is simple. It's short. It's how it works. Women are aroused completely different than men. They are more into the touch, into the mind, into the imagination, into the feeling, and we may be more visual, and we don't need much time to get a hard on. So, but we need to understand this. If you don't understand that and you don't love to do foreplay, you're in trouble to have long-lasting relationships. I have to tell you that. Foreplay can be triggered previously via mind games, and you need to alternate foreplay games. What I mean by you can previously, for example, you can be at work and say, hey, I'm going to text my girlfriend and hey, tonight we're going to do this. I'm going to fill up the tub. And when you come home, I'm going to do this to you, whatever. I don't know. You can do anything you want. Okay. And that's sort of like previously preparing the foreplay. That's part of the foreplay as well. And because you need to alternate, you need to do different things. You cannot just do the same thing every time and the same spots every time. You need to alternate. And of course, there's a point where you're going to repeat. But if you alternate, and you can alternate times. What I mean by time is period of time you're going to do the foreplay. You can do it for 10 minutes one day, maybe one day for 40 minutes, whatever. But alternate and do different things. And learn techniques and options to foreplay, because don't do the same thing every time. Touch different spots, kiss differently, whatever. There's many things you can do, many games you can do. There's sex toys. I don't know. There's 1,000 of ideas you can do to improve your foreplay games, because you need to change and vary it. And of course, quickies are allowed. What I mean is, you don't have to do 30 minutes of foreplay every time you have sex, because it's not good either. Having sex, by, at the moment, just by getting, aroused at that moment and just go, whoa, let's do it now. I want to do it right now. Those are great as well. So it's actually part of the alternation. It's part of the doing different things. Okay. So they're allowed. Orgasm techniques. Well, this is the alma mater. Okay. This is the key of everything. Okay. You need to know the orgasm techniques, of course. So first thing you need to do is study the female sexual anatomy. And this is, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know what you're touching. It's like, if you're going to fix a car, you need to know what the parts of the engine are. Okay. Here is the same thing. If you're going to touch a female body and you're going to try to give her an orgasm, you need to know what you're touching and where you're touching. Okay. You need to know the female anatomy. Learn all the types of female orgasms there are, because it's not just only one. It's not just, sex is not just penetration and that's it. And maybe think that she had an orgasm. I'm sure she will not if you just do that. So learn all the types of orgasms, of female orgasms there are. Learn the techniques to give oral sex. Learn the techniques to give G-spot orgasms. Learn the techniques to give A-spot orgasms, anal orgasms, etc. I mean, there's so many things. There's combinations of all of these. Learn the techniques to do this. It's very important. For example, oral sex. We learn oral sex from the porn movies or the adult movies, and that's so wrong. So you need to know the techniques, the right techniques to give this type of orgasms. So you need to educate yourself on that. And learn the best positions for orgasms with penetration and different thrusting techniques. This is also very important because, yeah, we all like the Kama Sutra and we all like to see all these funky and fancy positions, and we can try them, it's fine. But to have an orgasm, especially for girls, in certain positions is almost impossible. And for guys as well, because if you're really pushing, doing a lot of exercise at the time you're doing it, is very difficult as well. So you can try those, but for orgasms, there's positions which are best, and you should learn them. Respect and communication. Very important in a couple, and this is obvious. I know it's quite obvious, but sex as a couple is a thing of two, and you must communicate and make agreements. You need to agree on things, and you need to communicate how you want to do things. Very important. You must respect your partner's sexual preferences and fantasies and not judge them. Do not judge the other person ever. If you do, one of the biggest complaints I receive from guys and girls is that, I don't want to tell him I would like to, do whatever, a threesome, or I want to do anal sex and she doesn't want it, or I'm scared of talking to her. because she might think of me what, I'm crazy or I'm a pervert. If you judge, you're dead in terms of sex. You cannot judge, and it's okay. You can say, hey, I don't like to do that, and you respect that, and both have to respect each other and find a way and meet in the middle, a point in the middle, a point of meeting what your needs are. Speak openly about sexual needs, fears, dislikes, and fantasies. Communicate, basically, but openly. Speak very openly and say, hey, I don't like this, I do this, I'm scared of doing that, whatever. But you need to communicate. This is very, very important if you want to have a good sexual relationship and be a good lover. Both need to be satisfied if you want the relationship to last. Again, I'm talking about, if you can see, about long-lasting relationships here, because it's very easy to have sex with someone that you just met and you like and you are very attracted to. But it's something different to have long-lasting relationships. If a guy, there's so many couples that think that when the guy comes, everything is over. Well, if she didn't have an orgasm, it's not over. Why is it over? She also has the right to have the orgasm. So this is very important. So both need to be satisfied. If the guy always finishes and say, hey, I'm done, I'm finished, I'm gone, things are not going to work in the long run. Okay, so she needs to be satisfied as well. Very important. And you find your way. If if you cannot get it hard again, that's okay, fine. There's so many ways to give a girl an orgasm. It's incredible. So have that in mind. Long-lasting sexual relationships. Again, here, you must connect body, mind, and soul. And maybe that sounds to you a bit too spiritual, but that's true. If you want to have long-lasting sexual relationships, it's not just the body. You need to put the mind in there, and you need to put the soul in there. You need to put love in there. If not, it's not going to last. Never stop playing and trying new things. That's another basic thing. You be like a kid. You need to play. You need to do things. Try. Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this fantasy. Buy this toy. I don't know. Whatever you want. Okay? Very important to keep everything alive. Love must be present. And this is a key. I have to say it. For me, having sex with love is much better than not. That's my personal preference. Whatever you like is okay, but if you want to have a long-lasting relationship, love must be present, because if not, it's not going to work. It's obvious. So it must be present. You must love the other person. And sex must be a way to intimate and connect with your partner. It must be more than just a physical need. And then sexuality or sex, it's a physical need, but when it comes to a couple, it needs to be much more than that. It needs to be also a way to connect with that person. It needs to be a way to give that person an incredible present we all have, which is sex. Sex is one of the best things we have in life, and it's free and it's fantastic, and it's a way of sort of like being it's like a piece of heaven on earth. Okay, so it's giving the other person an orgasm is an act of generosity, and it's an act of good things. Okay, so it's a way of doing good things to the other person and show your love for that person. So that's the only way to make long-lasting sexual relationships, because that gives a meaning to sex, not only just a physical need or a moment of you got hot. Okay, it's much more than that. So that's it. This is a bit long now, so I'll stop here. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video and that you got a lot of information out of it, and that you actually put it into practice and understand that being a good lover is very important for our sexual health and our sexual life. And most important is that we have a good sexual life throughout our life, the whole life, because sometimes it's very easy to have a good sex life when you just meet one person and the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months, it's fantastic because you just want to have sex all the time. But it's not the same thing when you want to have a long-term relationship for 10 years and things get a little bit more difficult when you have kids and so on. So it's very important to understand the fundamentals of a good lover, of how sex should be practiced. And hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested in much more, click on the links that you see here. Here you see a link to my blog and to my website where I have my sex course. You see a link to subscribe. You see a link for more videos. Just click on them and check them out, and I will see you in this next video. Bye.